Welcome to the Orca. Well, it's the vote that hardly anyone is talking about. At the end of this month, BC voters will be asked to weigh in on moving provincial elections to a proportional representation system. Early indications are it will be razor close. What should voters, though, think about when that ballot arrives in their mailbox? Bill Tieleman leads the No Proportional Representation campaign and joins us now from Vancouver. Bill, hello.
Hi, Rick.
We went through a similar exercise to this in both 2005 and 2009. What's different, though, this time?
A lot of things are different, Rick. First of all, particularly in 2009, when proportional representation was rejected by 61% of the voters, we had a full system explained, the single transferable vote. We had maps, boundary maps for each riding explained so people could look at how this would work. We had had a recommendation from a citizens' assembly. We had public hearings, a whole bunch of different things. None of that has happened this time. We've had one website consultation where anyone in the world could participate, where you could participate multiple times from your home computer, your work computer, your cell phone, and that was it. There were no public hearings. There was no public information or debate able to happen. And then instead of having a fully explained system, what we've got now are three semi-explained systems with a lot of details left up in the air, no riding boundary maps. Not a single voter in this province voting in this referendum would know what the riding boundaries would be under any of these three systems for where they live, or how many MLAs would be in their riding. All of those things are up in the air to be decided after the referendum, not before, and by a committee of a majority of the forces in the legislature, which means the NDP and the Greens, the parties that are in power, will get to decide the details.
So let's say it passes. What could happen?
Well, we would have, in our view, from looking at Europe and other countries with proportional representation, perpetual minority governments. We have a situation now where the Green Party, with just 3 seats, is the tail that wags the dog quite often. And we see also when we look at other countries, such as New Zealand, which has mixed member proportional, one of the 3 proposals for British Columbia, they have a party called the New Zealand First Party that won just 7% of the vote. They won 9 seats, and yet they got to choose who would be the prime minister, which party would be in power, and also put themselves into the cabinet. The leader is the deputy prime minister. They have had a major influence on policy and procedures and how everything is going in New Zealand. And they only won 7% of the vote. And not only that, they didn't win a single geographic riding. They didn't win any riding in any part of the entire country of New Zealand. And instead, they got 7%. And so out of a proportional party list, they were able to pick 9 members. And they haven't won a consistency, an actual riding since 1996 in any election. So how we get to a situation where my opponents on the proportional representation side, we want to make every vote count and we want more democracy. Well, in New Zealand, 7% of the people decided who'd be the government and what policies and put themselves in the cabinet. That doesn't seem to be an improvement to me.
You mentioned those on the other side. Those campaigning in favor of proportional representation have accused the no side of everything from exaggeration to, frankly, fear-mongering. What do you say to those people?
Well, it's not fear-mongering, Rick, when you look at what's going on in Europe. We just saw an election where the Sweden Democrats, a party with neo-Nazi roots, clear neo-Nazi roots, won almost 18% of the vote. They've already got rid of the existing prime minister through a vote in their parliament, and they are possibly going to be part of the government. We look at the Austrian situation where the Austrian Freedom Party, another party, was actually started by a former Nazi SS officer in the 1950s and still has neo-Nazi ties and links. And throughout that period, through the last election, they now are part of the government. They run the Interior Ministry, the Defense Ministry. They have significant influence. And this is a party that's anti-immigrant, anti-refugee, is extremely right-wing in its approach. And that really scares me. We look at other countries in Europe, Germany, the Alternative for Deutschland, 94 seats in the last election, again with neo-Nazi connections to the party. Even former Prime Minister Helen Clark of New Zealand said, who's a supporter of proportional, said here in Vancouver that the German system had elected 94 neo-Nazis. 91 of those 94 seats came from proportional party lists. So again, this right-wing extremist party could only win 3 ridings in all of Germany, but it got 94 seats because of proportional representation.
This was part of the NDP platform in running the last provincial election. Do you feel, though, the government is maybe a little hasty on this, is rushing it through without due time and consideration?
Well, both the NDP and the Green Party, regrettably, have proportional representation as part of their platform, no question about that. And the Greens would have imposed proportional without even a referendum, such as the one we're having now. But realistically, I think that they've done a sloppy job. The consultation process was flawed. It was incomplete. Systems aren't explained. So this is really kind of, I believe they're trying to lowball this, put it in under the radar, hoping to get their vote out of those small minority of people who believe proportional representation is the most important thing in British Columbia, not the economy, not healthcare, not our environment, and try and sneak this thing through. And we're doing our best to try and stop that.
What are the polls telling you?
Well, we're doing some of our own polling, of course. I think the most recent Angus Reid poll showed that the proportional side was at 33, we were at 31, and 31% were roughly undecided. I think that they also did look at the fact that people who are older, people who have higher incomes, and some of the other demographics are more likely to vote and more likely to vote on our side. So, as you said in your introduction, I think it's very close. We hope that we will have a big turnout, not a low turnout, and we hope that people will pay attention to this. It's very frustrating, I must say, to have this happening while municipal elections are being fought throughout the entire province, while marijuana is about to be legalized on October 17th, and then all of a sudden, the week of October 22nd, you get a ballot in the mail after it's voted municipally, and there's all sorts of other news going on. We are concerned that there'll be a lack of attention to this extremely important issue, which is fundamental to our democratic system, how we choose our government.
You say there's so many people undecided. How do you reach out to those undecided voters?
Well, we'll be doing a major advertising campaign, both social media, traditional media, television, radio, print. We're online. We're doing a lot of earned media like this. And all we can do is ring the alarm bell as loudly as we can and hope people listen to it. I think that is, I feel good from the response that we get to the positions we've been taking in public. I think when people talk to us who are not part of the political process, they're quite amazed and appalled at how complicated and confusing proportional representation truly is. And that I believe that people will come out and see this is important and vote no in the right proportions, if I can pardon that pun, to win.
Bill Tieleman, thank you for your time.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Rick.
Take care. Bye-bye.